Hey, it's 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to Cannabis Legalization News, where we explain marijuana laws so you can change them. What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
It's Wednesday.
I was
Thank
on
you
mute.
so much for tuning in. I can't believe we have another episode of Cannabis Legalization News. My name's Tom. You can reach me on Instagram at Cannabis Industry Lawyer and smash some likes and subscribe because it's Miggy420. What's up, Miggy?
Do it. Yes, it is. Just Google that. You'll find me all over. Hey, how about this messed up stuff? Biden has said pot prisoners should be free. Now he's poised to send them back to prison, according to the Intercept.
That is ridiculous. Biden is just going to show his age because he's an old man who was born in the 30s, I believe, because he's 78, right? So that means that he was born at the heyday of the indoctrination against the cannabis plant. It's too darn bad.
Well, it's mind-boggling that even, yes, people got released early for COVID, but I mean, the judicial system, the penal system has proven to be ineffective for we're not solving issues. We're not solving. People are freed. Like, I hope it's not like we freed pedophiles and murderers, but like I'm pretty sure we freed a bunch of people who cheated on their taxes or like the harmless stuff, which they're probably trying to get a second chance and trying to live their best right now. What in the article it says 4,400 people were released from federal prison to home confinement starting in April 2020 as part of the Department of Justice directive aimed to preventing the transmission of COVID-19. And honestly, there wasn't enough people released.
Yeah, it's something else, man. And it's one of those deals where it's just talking out of both sides of their mouth. But, normally the federal government allows people convicted of non-violent crimes to serve out the last 10% or 6 months, whichever is less, of their sentences from home. But nope, they're sending them back.
And again, prisons they're not reformed, right? We had Chris Merton on, that's why we have recidivism. There's no real people being given a chance or being taught or how to have a better chance. The status of these people have been in limbo since December when the Justice Department officials from the outgoing Trump administration issued a memo stating that the people whose sentences would outlast the COVID-19 emergency order would be returned to prison. I just don't get it, man.
Well, again, these people have depended on this their whole lives, the ones that are enforced. I mean, it's ridiculous because we put up with it like on social media. And so 420 Scene actually hit us up in the comments on our last show where we gave him a shout out to him again because he really knows that YouTube algorithm great. And then I got a cool grow video from Grow Planner that I shot. And so to fix one of the issues, we're going to be growing tomatoes in my basement. But that we're doing all of this because of the way that they regulate and then treat the plant. I mean, it's creepy. Once you make something a crime, then suddenly you can just start bulldozing people's rights for decades, even without a factual basis, because you've made it a law.
Well, even like this internet space that you and I live in, been in for years, and the shadow ban. I mean, like when people use the word shadow ban, I don't think they know what they're talking about most of the time.
I just think they're not popular.
Or your opinion is not popular, whatever the case is. But I mean, literally, if you go to marijuana search, type in marijuana into the Facebook search engine, it'll give you a warning. Well, it gives you a warning first. It says, "Are you sure you want to go forward? Are you sure you want to find out the results?" And then it shows you nothing. Still, I just don't get it. It's still ineffective.
But that's the world we live in. And so one of the things that, I wake up to 4 videos were automatically termed 18 plus. And these were like not risque videos at all. There might've been some 420, some were bumpers, but we weren't smoking during the videos. We weren't giving names and prices like we have in some that have gotten flagged. They were, I can pull up the ones that got flagged and go over like the headlines of them. But yeah, tell them more about this Biden fiasco while I pull that up.
Yeah. Well, this is unfortunate. I know one of these prisoners, Diana Marquez, she's in there for cannabis or was in prison for cannabis, but now has been released. Diana has spent the last 14 months going on long walks, cooking with her daughter, and getting to know her grandson, all with an ankle bracelet strapped to her leg. She served 16 years of a 30-year sentence for a marijuana conspiracy, which she played a supporting role. Most people will say, "I do regret." They're gonna have a mea culpa, but they shouldn't. They shouldn't feel bad for, I broke the law. I feel bad. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't feel bad because the law was bad.
Right. The law was bad. It was just kind of like all the homosexuals in Texas before Lawrence v. Texas in 2003. They were all committing crimes.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they were wrong. It means the law was wrong. But,
this
is when I get my YouTube strikes. They all happen way late at night. So like 3 a.m. Central Time through 4:44 a.m. Central Time. So Google knows that we have a cannabis channel and they scrape it to see if there's anything that doesn't work. And so here's one, craft grower deficiency notice webinar, how to respond to a 10-day notice. So just helping people out. Now, granted, if you're going to apply for a craft grower's license, you must be 21. So there, somebody who's less than 18, we marked that our channel's not for children, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so not harmful. Okay. This one, terpenes are not trichomes. That got hit 18 plus. Yeah.
Well, you know, my personal channel, my personal small Miggy channel, when we use for the side broadcast, you know, in case this one gets flagged with only 150 followers, I had an unlisted video that got flagged. Unlisted. Like I totally forgot I made it, posted it. You know, I was gonna I'll make it out later, shape it, whatever. It was just me weighing an eighth. It was what it is an eighth. And I, dump it on the scale. I mean, yeah, the flour might have burned their eyes. I don't know what.
Well, that's why I'm growing tomatoes. And so like I'm going to do, and it's a really sweet light, the Grow Planner. It doesn't have any buttons. And so like you just plug it in and then you download an app and then your phone controls the light. It's cool as hell. And so like you can dial in the automations for your light cycles, your intensity. It's cool. But I can't grow weed with it because otherwise it's like, and I have a video from last October that I didn't cut that I can cut and edit, like where I'm doing a trim challenge and I have hand trimming and then a bolt trimmer. Okay, if I do that, cut it, post it, how long is it going to be before that sucker gets flagged? Because I'm showing trimming cannabis.
Well, what sucks is you're going to have to trim tomatoes or tobacco. But yeah, I mean, by default.
Your trim videos. I mean, or like, just be like, hey, don't forget to subscribe and go to the channel because a lot of the videos that we have don't get circulated.
Well, I think we're going to have to make those ones members only too. But the other thing too, I mean, but you're right. As far as like the perception of the bad law, and they just go with like, why do we even have to like consider sending these people back to prison? So Marquez, she is so stressed out that hair is coming out of her hair. Kevin Ring, president of Families Against Mandatory Minimums, which is a great organization, lobbies for more humane sentences and treatment behind bars. They wake up every day terrified of going back to prison. I couldn't imagine that, dude. As president
county prison for weed too. It's not like, what did you do? I murdered somebody. No, what'd you do? I had a joint.
Yeah. Of weed. Well, again, let's just hope we weren't releasing pedos and murderers. Like there are bad people out there. Let's go with that. They're there. Yeah. Some of them are cannabis consumers. They deserve to be inside, but for the most part, these petty crimes and life lessons that are, we learn, you fuck up, you get caught or whatever. Most of the time you don't deserve to have your life taken away for that, Nope. Especially as we have now, we're getting into like regulations, right? So I got to really get excited at this next topic. When there's what I do for a living, and I know we don't talk about it, but it's I work in weights and measures. I do a measurement for, and I've been doing it for over 10 years now, over 20 if you include my military time. But the thing is with NIST and accreditation, this is all part of like manufacturing. It's all part of our goods, our manufactured goods. Every goods has the checks and balances, somewhere in the vaccine. And we have this, what is it? The AOAC, Cannabis Analytical Science Program, is a forum where the science of hemp and cannabis analysis can be discussed and cannabis standard and methods developed. Association of Agricultural Chemists. So I came across these guys when I was listening to this podcast that does this whole website right here. This is A2LA is an accrediting body, one of the accrediting bodies that we abide by in this world. And they have a podcast. I mean, this is, again, like and subscribe for all the sexy knowledge that you get out of here. But this is the foundation of who we are. And this is like why people need to go out and vote and do things. Here in King County, we just had an election. We've only had 17% show up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like
you should have given away free Starbucks.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, and this stuff, the AOAC's protocols that are going to be coming up, so they can have forms and standards. That's built into the federal legalization, the GMP certification for the manufacturer. So if you want to grow, if you're going to get a grower's license, don't forget to build it to GMP certs. If you're going to get an infuser's license or an extraction or a processor, you should be asking yourself, and if you're sitting on one, how can I be GMP certified? Because when it goes federally legal, you need a new license from the feds, and that's one of the requirements.
And this is what I do. I always say lab regulation is plant regulation. It's because the all things forms will be medically, medicinally in Texas anytime soon. They're still strict. Yeah, they're still strict. They slowly eased up, but
they have Delta 8. That's the best you got right now, and that Delta 8 stuff might get shut down in a bit. But like Texas is changing, and if Texas is like Oklahoma, free markets, that'd be great. But and there's still a lot of law enforcement that does not understand the plant. And so, like, if law enforcement is one of the main influencers on your cannabis laws, yikes. But
I wonder what, talking about how here in liberal paradise, we had 17% turnout. I wonder what the turnout is in Texas. I mean, honestly, this is what is needed. If you need to get out the Ted Cruz's and all the other crazy yahoos down there that, what is the portion of population? Encourage other people to show up and vote, because this surprisingly is what makes the difference.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's the people that actually show up. But I love that this the Cannabis Analytical Science Program is founded, and it's going to be not just for cannabis, but also hemp. And it's to provide the consensus-driven standards and methods to promote accuracy and label potency claims and address public safety issues such as pathogens and residual solvents. That's one of the reasons why, a guy like Miggy is going to come out and audit your systems to ensure that they're GMP or CASP certified. When we were doing our craft growers license, we would talk about various standards. Some are from Green Flower Media, the Focus ones, for example. Yeah. And so we'd say we're going to incorporate Focus, and then there's the ASTM 39 or something. There are standards in the cannabis industry right now, but if the federal government's saying that it's going to be GMP, that's really where they're pushing it. Let's get on that train, because every license holder, you can either lose your license or you can get an exemption, but I don't know, you're going to get that federal exemption. It's not like you get a federal exemption from food processing laws,
Well, and again, I've been supporting the manufacturing industry for 10 years, metrology over again for 20. So it's the checks and balances, man. What I do is when you go to the store and you buy a pound of cheese, it's a pound, that. And the same thing with like THC, and you want to know the consistency. This is the biggest issue we have in multi-states. When everybody says shooting for these high THC numbers, they're all full of
BS.
Yeah,
I would say Washington states are more fair or honest, simply because they've been doing the tests for longer and they have a very wide array of operators. So there's no incentive for the tester to lie. But like in Illinois, where there's like 10 operators and there's like 10 different labs, and if you don't do what Cresco says, they just ain't going to give you no more business, and there goes your business. Well, maybe there was a little bit less in that weight chamber than what we said, and suddenly your THC's through the roof.
No, that happened here. That has happened here. We've had
really
that have gotten caught for fudging numbers, for what was given in, and it's still the game of like these producers. They want the highest THC. They want the bullshit numbers. Like that's what's also doing a disservice to the end user, right? This is why I don't pay attention to like so much of THC, but what it smells, because again, you could be getting fluffy numbers. It doesn't tell the whole story of the plant. People are still, they're not looking at it outside the box. Essentially, you got to look at the bigger picture of the thing and not just like just the THC, bro, because. How does it affect you? What are you doing with it? Why do you use it? Cannabis is an amazing plant that back in my day was you get what you get and that's you got. Now we can be selective. We can chase terpenes. We can chase profiles. It's an amazing thing now. Like with my asthma, the gassy ones are the ones that make me feel really better lately. Yeah. So it all depends, man. But yeah, this is going to be a great, this body, they adhere to the A2LA like checks and balances. So it's going to be I believe the foundation for the future of policy in science when it comes to cannabis. Because right now, Currently, there's 5 AOAC working groups are developing standards for analytical methodology, the microbiological contaminants, the chemical contaminants, the working group on cannabinoids and consumables, the training and education work group. That working group will identify all the training and education need of the cannabis community and seek opportunities to collaborate with other training and education programs. And then finally, the proficiency testing working group, which will identify proficiency testing needs of the cannabis community. And I think that is probably one of the more important ones, because this will help enable knowing what I'm testing for 25% THC in California is going to be the same 25% in Oklahoma, and because that's what we want, consistency.
Right.
That's what we need.
We don't want fudge numbers. We want the numbers to be accurate. And so that's one of the deals. Whenever I see flower that tests over 28, 29%, I'm like, how many labs did you have to go to get that number?
For real, though. I mean, that's the thing, though. And the labs, they're not supposed to be selling the product of numbers. The labs are supposed to be a matter of quality. And that's why I love what I do, is because it's not rocket science. I've worked with the worst. I've done some of the worst where the checks and balances aren't so good. And also I've been working with the best, and I know what is expected and what I can give. And so with that, going to the cannabis, again, every job, just like a lawyer, it's all lateral. You can find a position in the cannabis world that's going to, whatever you're doing in regular world can be associated with cannabis. And I'm just really excited about the checks and balances in the background. This is the sexy stuff. Oh yeah. All the accreditation and
well, the standards and processes will also then help create standards for at least cultivation, but I don't want to have too many standards for cultivation, simply because I think that could be quelling of creativity and innovation. But the GMP certification doesn't mean that you're going to do like deep water culture only. Or it just means that the way that your facility was built had certain GMP, certain good manufacturing practices.
That's it. All of the accreditations and the checks and balances are about it's about the paperwork, what you're doing, and then if you're applying your processes, and then also looking at your staff and looking at the training you're providing your staff. And then that's the big one, is like your staff has to do a performance as far as like, hey, show us what you do. And really, if you're doing it on a daily, and if it's a normal thing that you do day to day, it's not bad, right? These people are there to help you, not like ding you and like, you're doing it wrong. You are doing chromatography wrong. No,
yeah.
But they can, yeah.
What was that place that we went to in Seattle that had that great QA department?
That was a Green Revolution.
Green Revolution, yeah. You guys are going to want to stay tuned, because we have some stuff from Green Revolution coming on about branding your cannabis brand. And they have a wonderful, simple, elegant, and pure way to brand it. It's pretty darn sweet. So do tune into that. We'll be uploading it here. I'm not sure when Lauren's got that in the hopper, but she's got it coming up. And so we're going to be dripping some content for you guys over the next few days. That
was really nice. And it's crazy, too, and I loved how they were very proprietary about like their nano process and whatnot.
I want some of those pre-rolls, man.
Oh,
those pre-rolls look good.
That was a brilliant, and I still have to go out and buy one, because there was a special cone that they had for the clogging. So I really do want to experience it, but I do have to testify that their cream that they gave us has really helped me.
Oh, good. Good. And I really liked how these guys had these cool pre-rolls, and on the end they had a keef tip. And so like the key, or like key for like, some bubble hash that's in crystalline format, so that it would light the entire joint, so you don't get any runs.
Oh,
you know what you might get on a run here right now? It's 420 somewhere, somebody.
Feel better. But yeah, I'm just really excited about the checks and balances and things that are coming up. We got a 420 bumper roll call. Holy shit, we got people that threw money at us. Thank you.
We do. Somebody just asked us a question for 5 bones, and so big shout out to that guy that just asked a question. And then what are the other new members? Because we have some people helping you and you at home legalize cannabis.
We got Thomas Love, Henrovic, Robert Eaton, Adam Creighton, Jean Lariva, William Long, Matthew Dwyer, Chuck Love, Troy Martin. Hey, Lou. Scruffy Nerf Herders. I think I've heard of that before. PBB Junkie, Montana Entertainment, Fred Vidring, DC Robinson, Ernie, you got a Miggy story? Thank you. Daniel M. Bergen Jr., Digital Revolution, Fisher of Men, and Sergio S. Right on. Thank you.
And then that was Mike O. Show, who threw us the 5 bones and asked a question about Texas. And then for the month of July, we raised $114.44 for cannabis prisoners sitting behind bars unjustly for their commissary, and we'll be making a donation to freedomgrowforever.org. So if you guys want to give back to some people that are sitting in jail for weed, and to help them be able to stay out of the mess hall for, what was that? The one that Sparky hated? Sparky Rose, shout out to him at Super Critical in Chicago when he was serving his joint after he had gotten busted at Harborside. I want to say that he said the taquito? No. Enchiladas? No. What's that? Tamale Day. Oh, evidently the tamales in prison there were terrible.
But the thing about prison, too, is everything costs. Matter of fact, I just heard from Lance Glore via text. There's a system where you can email and then it texts me. But all that costs. Any minute he does an email, anytime he toiletries, it's ridiculous. It costs to just be a normal human being behind bars. It's ridiculous.
That's why before I get arrested, I always start an online marketing and money-making scheme so that when I'm behind bars, I can be like, don't forget to press buy.com. I've only got to send one email today. Hopefully that'll pay for some toilet paper. I'm getting backed up.
Dude, that or toothpaste. I mean, just humanity. It's effed up how we treat. And again, irony too is like this whole present with the coup people bullshit, and they're all trying to like prison's rough. Like, what did you get, dude? Try being a pot prisoner for like 10 years.
Right. You guys stormed the Capitol because you thought somebody told you to that had won the election because he said it. I want all of those people to look up gaslighting in the dictionary, and then I want them to collectively gaslight us while they don't believe it. It's going to be amazing. But a new report links marijuana legalization to Colorado's high home prices, according to the Denver Channel.
As home continued to increase throughout Colorado, a new study by Cleaver Real Estate found a link between marijuana legalization and the housing market. Shock face.
Well, I tell you, as somebody who's, you know how much we're trying to unload a house for in Peoria, Illinois, in a disproportionately impacted area in Peoria, Illinois. We spent $15,000 in the house, completely redid everything on the inside. You know how much we can't get for it? $72,000, not one offer.
That's the price of a closet.
To Peoria, you people.
That's a closet in Seattle, though. But again, we talked about the prices before, right? Like the prices here are so high for the housing. Part of it's the digital bros, but the other part is cannabis. The marijuana has helped build our economy. Clever real estate researcher and writer Michelle Delgado said there are a few contributing factors that impact these numbers. Like what? Money?
Yeah.
First, new industries attract more jobs and employees looking for homes. Go figure. Then, of course, tax revenue. These laws that are legalizing marijuana industry bring in billions of dollars across the country in tax revenue.
What's that statistical analysis term? Confluencers, confounding factors. Is that it? Is it confounders? Anybody who understands statistical analysis of what I'm talking about, who has heard it in the last, I don't know, college was over 20 years ago now. So it's one of those things where the data could be screwed because of something else. And I'm wondering if all the people moving to Colorado had more to do with the mountains and less to do with weed.
Well, I think a good one will be Oklahoma. You know, they're having a huge industry spike, events. I got a friend over there who's kind of covering how the evolution of them happening. It is what Washington was. It was the Wild West.
John Maddox is in Oklahoma now. Are you seeing property values go up there? We just wanted to see your whatever you think, man, because that guy's been following us forever.
No, good. Oh, yeah, he wants to overgrow the world too. But yes, I would imagine they're going to be seeing revenues that are increasing, and you know their schools are going to be getting better.
I love that. I love funding schools from something other than property values, because property values to fund public schools just reward the rich, and so that's one of the. If the schools were better in that $72,000 beautiful house that you could have if you make us an offer, if the schools were better, I'm sure it would not be $72,000. It'd be over 100. But no, you know, and so it's one of those issues.
No, it is, and then it's unfortunate. But hey, along the financial dumbasses, this California city rejected marijuana. Now cannabis is an official tourism draw. This is the same place that Luke Scarsmazo was arrested.
Modesto? That's where Beck's dog comes from.
Oh, hey. So marijuana legalization came slowly to Modesto, California, a city of about 212,000 in the state's Central Valley, a vast flat expanse full of fields and farms intersected by freeways, new track homes, and values heart of the right state's coastal cities. So yeah, for years, medical marijuana dispensaries were banned in Stanislaus County, of which Modesto was the seat. I don't need to say that twice.
Yeah, no, I don't have to. I don't have to. That's fine.
2006 drug enforcement and H3 raid on a medical marijuana dispensary in city limits that was obeying state law and paying state sales tax that landed both co-owners in federal prison, set the tone. One of the former owners, Luke Scaramuzzo, is still in prison. And that's the one that I talked about before, that he made that video, made a rap video, and said, fuck the Fed. And I just thought it was a well done video, like song and hip hop. He could have been up and coming, but, you poked the bear, unfortunately. And
you poked the bear before the bear was defunded. And so, like, now you can poke the bear. And so, like, fuck the DEA would be way easier to say now, especially if you're hiding behind a legitimate medical cannabis license, because then you could say, no, Mr. DEA, man, there is no money for you to pursue this. Well, there's no federal money. I'm going to have to file something at a court of law so that you leave me alone. And that's the McIntosh case out of the 9th District in 2016. It is actually a defense. And so there shouldn't be any DEA raids on anybody that has a license. But
prohibition overall, it just enables that bad behavior, that bad policing, that bad judgment of like right and wrong. Like, it's ridiculous that there's a certain point. Okay, let's say it today, 2021, August 4th. This is the day that cops, you should get your shit together and realize that arresting and prosecuting people for pot is just heinous and wrong. It's arbitrary. Yep. and there's no good being served by it.
No, but they that's not how they see things. Go show a hippie who's boss day, National Arrest a Black Guy Day. These are all terrible days that may have been a thing in our very prejudiced past. So, like, it was just something else. I mean, the John Oliver show that he just did over the past weekend on the urban housing development and the systematic exclusion of anybody who wasn't white from public benefits that created wealth that they were just not allowed to get because they were a different. It's just shocking. And that we still have this federal marijuana policy from that same time period. Just terrible. Just absolutely terrible.
Well, and to consider that a lot of these heinous things that in our past happened within our lifetime, like or grandparents' lifetimes, like living people.
Joe Biden.
Biden. Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure exactly what year he was born, but I want to say it was like 1938. So, like, he would have actually been born in the first year of the federal prohibition. But
he might have thought that it turned into a bat, and that it was messed up. That it made white women want black men. I mean,
no, he was actually born in 42, and so because he was born in 42, 5 years into cannabis prohibition, this old man who's now the president of the United States was born.
Yeah. And so you gotta imagine the thinking. I mean, he hopefully has evolved, right? I mean, you're now in charge, but I don't know. So, but yeah, back to the Modesto. Modesto's tourism board started kicking around ideas to draw visitors to the area, because honestly, there ain't shit in Modesto because they locked up cannabis consumers. Awkwardly located, sort of near the Interstate 5 freeway connecting Los Angeles to the Bay Area, as well as the main route from the Bay Area to Yosemite National Park, but not directly on either. About a year ago, after tourism dried up during COVID 2019. So they're tossing around cannabis. Judging by the city's books, promoting weed was the smartest move. About 40% of the customer base at the city's roughly 2 dozen cannabis dispensaries are from out of town.
And I can help you get one of these licenses that are going to be coming up. But look at what Modesto is doing. This is setting up for a clear competitive licensing where the people that have said no now will be the ones that are grading who has the best application, and they'll be like, oh, he wins. That guy, isn't that the governor's brother? Oops.
Oh,
yeah.
But and unfortunately, there is corruption throughout this. And I think it's going to be when it's federally legal. I think a lot of the fiefdom corruption is going to be. It's just going to be a bigger form of corruption. But I think there'll be more ways to attack it. Right, like right now, if we were Washington State, we're powerless against this one body. There's certain people with juice that can make influence. Right, that's why you have these orgs and alliances. But for the most part, they answer to the executive branch, and the executive branch is not paying attention to them. At least here, and I imagine in other states it's probably the same factor too. But
I think that your state should also defund the police from enforcing marijuana laws. That'd be hilarious. But we'll deal with that at a later date. So yeah, man, it seems that they are going to be passing it, modeled on similar promotional schemes from another county for local beer, wine, and coffee industries. Modesto's Motown Cannabis stops a little short of offering deals at local dispensaries in the same way a town might promote a winery. Let's go on a weed tour in Modesto. I was going to try to do that in Sonoma. I really need to book my California Croptoberfest party soon so that I can go do that and say hey to the guys in the Gangier and hopefully pass that test while I'm just stoned to the bejesus out of it and get that certification.
Just make sure you have your pinky out when you do all the.
Oh no, yeah, you have to smoke all of your joints with a very fine roach clip. And then you're rating everything, and I'm judging everything. Yeah,
just make sure that roach clip has a peacock feather on it.
What's the peacock feather for?
Oh, it's just an old hippie shit. I grew up in Southern California with but lots of roaches and skateboarding and surfing. That was my childhood. But hey, Connecticut marijuana taxes projected to reach $73 million in the 5th year of sales. Cities and towns would collect $18 million in total.
Wow. Yep. Possession of recreational marijuana became legal on July 1st in Connecticut. However, retail sales are not expected to begin until approximately a year from now in mid-2022. There should be a license opportunity in Connecticut this fall, so don't forget to get in touch with us over at CannabisIndustryLawyer.com about it. Connecticut has a very interesting method, and I'm going to be doing a video here shortly when my plate gets a little bit clearer. On the Connecticut license scheme and structure, simply because the way that they're doing it there, I really like, because they've really reduced the cost of the barriers to entry by having the lottery first, and then you got to go get the expensive application, as opposed to making everybody have the expensive application to access the lottery.
Do you know? So I'm trying to look, and it's not mentioned in the article, but what their percentage of sales tax is. Eddie Spaghetti asked if I like Teddy Spaghetti. I forget if I went too fast, but it asked about the 25% tax, and I fucking hate it, man. 25% is ridiculous. Like, how many other products have that? And let alone the people in the industry don't even get a chance to use the tax breaks that are given to other regular businesses. Like this, we live in a messed up quandary of it's more give than take for the cannabis people. And it's unfortunate.
20% tax in Connecticut, just about the same as Massachusetts. But the governor said that Connecticut's marijuana taxes may be about 4% lower than neighboring New York's. However, that doesn't mean that we're done with the taxes. That's just the 20% going to the state. Don't forget the 6.35% sales tax, in addition to a 3%, I like to call it the sprinkles or the cherry on top tax, that the municipality gets to also put on your grams when you are buying them and you are not growing them. So there you go. That's a lot of tax right there. And that's before the United States comes in with another 25%.
Yeah, and I just, unfortunately, I just hate how we have this high tax rate. We start off with this high tax rate for this plant that was federally illegal, so we have to mark it up high because it must be dangerous. And yet the states are going to get money greedy. They're not going to want to lower the tax later for federal legalization. So I don't know where the give take is going to happen, but they have to.
Yeah. The money draw. You have to look at the money flow, though. And so it's 60% of this money in Connecticut is supposed to go to social equity initiatives that are going to be helping communities harmed most by the federal drug war, up from 55% in the original bill. 25% of that goes to Prevention and Recovery Services Fund for mental health, up from 15% in the bill. So another 25% for, like 25% is for the addiction and drug treatment, and then 15% to the general administration fund, because that's what it does. What do you think about that? Does Washington State, because they have a terrible heroin problem there. Well, at least in Seattle they do. At least that's what it. If you walk around in downtown Seattle, it appears that way.
You mean all the people nodding off at bus stops? Yeah, I mean,
just saying. How much of the Seattle tax dollar is going to help that guy,
dude? And that's the thing. This circle jerk of a state. We're so progressive and so in touch with our feelings that it's like we're gonna keep throwing money at these studies, right? We're gonna keep throwing all this money, but the thing is, this is nothing new. This is, as I told you, the word Skid Row comes from Seattle, right? But big cities have a big issue when it comes to mental health and recidivism and chances for people. I don't know. I'm told during the Reagan era is when that stopped, right? I'm told we used to dump all this money into mental health and whatnot. And then, this is a 40-year problem where it just escalated to now to the point where we're leaving our people hanging. And that's what I see in the cities. And that's what the money, we have so much money coming in, and half of the shit just goes to ads for don't do cannabis and be pregnant.
Don't do cannabis or be pregnant.
You know what I mean? Like shit like that. I mean, it's just like, great. Yeah. Or not all friends are getting high, or you would play air guitar. I mean, just the dumbest shit to I mean, we're not treating people like adults. That's
no. I do like that CA Normal, Cannabis Saves the World, says, a member of this channel, so shout out to him or her. Shout out to that channel. Going to try to get taxes lowered from here in the cannabis sales next year after failing this year to get medical taxes removed. Taxes will always probably be the most expensive ingredient in cannabis, but that's all right, because if you see that money go into something that's helping the community, that's a good thing. Because there's so many tax dollars that are spent on bombs and bullshit. And so to see that money go back into where like the community's most injured is really refreshing.
I mean, it should go to infrastructure. That's the problem here. Like I said, our body answers to the executive branch, and no one knows where this money's going through. Like, there's no accountability right now. And that's the unfortunate part. I just think there are more people, more good can be done with it, right? Like, we're already living high in the hog, but let's make it better. Wow.
Yeah, that's why we're here. That's why we're here, to make it just a little bit better. And it's going to get a little bit better in Connecticut, but there will be definitely a lottery going on, and somebody's going to strike it rich. They've limited it to 25,000 people per dispensary, and so that comes out to about 120, I want to say. Because there's approximately 3 million people in Connecticut, so there'll be 120 dispos there. So 3 million.
I can't wait till they stop limiting licenses. Like, are there limited alcohol licenses? Are there limited tobacco licenses?
Well, when you're in the business of peddling access to these licenses, I don't care if there's more. I would prefer if there's more. I'd have more business. I'd have more clients that need help operating their cannabis licenses. It'd be fantastic. But first, you have to get them licensed. And so I can only do so many. And that's one of the reasons why I like how Connecticut's kind of flipped the script on it. And so you're going to see the license lottery happen, and then a provisional licensing period where then they hire a guy like me, and I go, this is going to be a brick. Fortunately, instead of having 2 months to write it, I have 12 months to write it.
Well, and you're also in a good position, too, because like I was saying with the accreditations and whatnot, there are already structures out there that cannabis will have to conform to. There's already business models and processes that things will have to be applied to. And then on your side of with the business side, it says lawyer, but you're a business lawyer essentially, right? With contracts and deals.
Yeah.
Not law though. You're not like, if I got in trouble with weed, you have a guy you call, but
I'm more of an entrepreneur than a lawyer. And so I'm a business owner that happens to have a law degree and sell those services. That's kind of how I see it. But then also, once you get into this industry, there's a lot of the services that are being sold that are just knowledge and skill services as opposed to legal analysis services. And so a legal analysis service might be, what does this contract mean? And then defend my rights on it. So I'm going to read a contract, write a demand letter, write a litigation, a complaint, file a lawsuit, go into depositions. That's lawyering. Me reading but then, okay, this is the difference. I read a business contract and then I sit down with a business owner and go, you have any fucking idea what the hell's going to happen once this guy figures that out and that guy goes there? They're going to take this good. And then, so like, that's business consulting. I'm just telling him what's probably going to be happening based on the facts that he gave me. Right. And then once I need to start papering that and so, all right, now we're going to hang this guy out to dry. And then we're going to be able to, have some leverage, as we call it. It's, yeah.
Well, as I'm saying, like your background though with the banking stuff enables you to like apply that to business with the cannabis guys. So,
right. And I've been a straight hustler since law school. This is my first business. I shut it down, but then this was the one that I wrote those books under.
Oh yeah, no, I remember. And you had the alter name when I thought I knew two white guys that looked like.
I know two white guys that look like that. Yeah, they're in cornfields or something. Yeah.
Hey, want to name that strain?
Let's play Name That Strain. Ooh,
purple.
That one's definitely got some purpling on it. And if you guys are listening at home or just tuning in on the internet, you're seeing, if you're watching, beautiful purple hues. If you're listening, purpling is a word. It means the verb of turning the color purple.
Did not know that.
I made it up, but I said it like it was real, and so people might believe it. Yeah. Donald Trump did this all the time. He was living in a land of make-believe, saying things as if he thought it were real, but really, that's some purpling right there.
Yosemites. No, I love it. It's like the shape of the nug is not perfect, like symmetry-wise. It's like a weird, bulky, but I imagine dense, like a bunch of dense nugs tied together. You could break that up and it'll be nice little balls falling off.
Yeah, but it's not foxtailing. It's like more of a dense or style of a nugget, and it does have some really great bracts that are just covered in trichromes that are more of a minty or even lime green. But then at the top nuggets of it gets into the purples. So and it looks, because it's the shape of the nug is not like a golf ball. It's more, it has a globular structure to it, but you can see like nooks and crannies. So it's a fairly large nugget. And so you can tell it was hand trimmed. It's do you see, I don't see any sugar leaves.
I do not.
Maybe some of that purpling at the top, maybe, but like that's almost, it's nice. I mean, it adds texture to it.
I can tell you she was a High Times winner that one time.
High Times winner, back when that meant something. Back in 2006, High Times strain of the year. That's the hint. Now we're going to talk about Louisiana marijuana decriminalization officially taking effect as a lawmaker launches an awareness campaign, according to the Marijuana Moment.
Nice. Marijuana decriminalization took effect in Louisiana on Sunday, and advocates and lawmakers are working to ensure the residents know what they can and cannot do without going to jail under the new law. Under the new law, possession of up to 14 grams of cannabis is now punishable by a $100 fine, without the threat of jail time. Sweet.
So only grow plants that are a half ounce or less.
Or just walk around with a half an ounce and then, like
3/8. You're going to be like the Mad Hatter. Was that what his fraction was in Alice in Wonderland? Was it 3/8? I don't know. It could also be like a drill bit. But, if you just make sure that you're only rolling with 10 grams, you're going to be good in.
10 grams at $100. 10
grams at $100. And if you have that $100 rolled up in the 10 grams, you might not have to do any paperwork with it.
I'm over this shit here. Take this.
Yeah.
Well, we have a public fine out here in Seattle for public smoking sometimes.
Oh, I figured the cop would have been like, I didn't see nothing.
I've only seen it enforced one time, and it was the dumbest thing. We have this weird, all our festivals are weird, but like these kids were hula hooping and enjoying their own time. And my wife even took a picture of them because the cop was, I think he was just giving them a ticket, which is like $25, some shit, but ridiculous though. Hey, but Wyoming marijuana decriminalization and medical cannabis initiatives clear first 2022 ballot hurdle marijuana moment. Thank you. Wyoming's gonna be a good place to smoke weed.
I bet. Wyoming decriminalization and medical cannabis initiative clear first 2022 ballot hurdle, because all those wealthy liberals in Jackson Hole are like, hey, I don't want to get arrested. Screw that. And shout out to Rick Ashcroft, who just guessed LA Confidential. LA Confidential was that, I wonder if he looked it up on from the hint, but it was the 2006 High Times Strain of the Year. LA Confidential is a child of DNA genetic seeds and a cross of OG Laafi and pure pardon me on that one, Landrace Afghani Indica, which beautiful. I wish that I could go buy some Afghani Landrace and Indica. I would do it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I'd be able to find it. I'd be able to find crosses and all sorts of knickknacks, but probably not that.
Do you know if strain hunters ever found it?
Oh, I'm sure they have. I mean, like I remember it was one of the first names of stuff that I got when I was in college.
It's so good. It's crazy how like when you were in college and when I was younger, we had lore that was spoken to us and we understood where it came from, but it hasn't been until like recent years where confirmation of like this plant's been in China and Afghanistan for thousands of years, you know, like
right.
It's historically documented, you know. But yeah, a pair of Wyoming marijuana reform initiatives have cleared an initial hurdle. This is gonna be good. I've been to Casper. That's gonna be a great spot to smoke some weed.
Oh, this is why Wyoming's got them libertarians, and the Libertarian Party and state rep Marshall Burt partnered with advocates to unveil the initial drafts of the proposal in June. The campaign, which is also being supported by Wyoming NORML, came after state lawmakers advanced but failed to pass a bill to legalize marijuana this legislative session.
The final text of the medical cannabis proposal states that patients could purchase and possess up to 4 ounces of flower and 20 grams of medical marijuana-derived products in a 30-day period. How are they going to know? People with any or more of the a dozen qualified conditions include cancer, glaucoma, HIV, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, and dementia would also be able to cultivate up to 8 mature plants for personal use. Nice.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how they were going to know. Track and trace. So they know how much you bought. And so like your card, and so like you're matched, and so you can't, or they should not allow you to go over your limits. If they set up an entrapment situation where they allow you to go over your limits, why did you just allow them to do that? Why didn't you just say, I'm sorry, you're at your limit. You've bought 2.5 ounces this 2 weeks. If you need more, talk to your doctor to get clearance.
You know what's funny though? You know, the fact you point that out is like the libertarian thing. Isn't that like the anti-libertarian thing to have these checks and balances as far as like you knowing how much I purchase? Like that's one of the things here in Washington was we have patients. You can be a patient. You can grow up to 6 plants, or you can be a patient who grew up to 15 if you're on the registry. Like the concept of registry is it violates your personal information, but the same token it allows you to grow more plants. But
right, but then that's just a licensing scheme, and so if somebody needs to be responsible for something, and as a result of that, there's going to be some standards and processes that you have to comply with if you want to do that activity. So if you want to go from an 8 to a 15 to whatever, why shouldn't you be licensed so that the state can regulate and track? Because when you're growing that much, what are you doing with it? You're probably doing something more commercial than personal.
I just hope I hope they legalize it, because then I can go back to Wyoming. I have a bench warrant out there for weed.
That would be pretty sweet. Miggy goes back to Wyoming. And then we just cut to one of those. I don't have enough time to like do videos anymore. I'll try, but one thing at a time. And so I did buy like this, I think it's called story blocks. And so story blocks are all these stock videos. And that would be hilarious. Miggy goes back to Wyoming and we just do a cut where it's the prison door is sliding closed. And then,
Well, and I don't highly, and that's why I was surprised about Wyoming too, because when I got pulled over, I was going early morning, doing the speed limit, maybe 5 miles and over on cruise control. And the cop, the state trooper saw me, and I passed a bunch of like roadblock about to be. He pulled up behind me, pulled up to the side of me, saw me. And at the time, the beard was longer too. Then he pulled it back behind me and pulled me over. And I just got done smoking, probably like within like 20 minutes before that. I had a little bit of shake in the console. And then he looked at it and goes, "Up marijuana? What's the deal with the title? What title? Oh,
Oh,
because
you
it's
see, this is
Biden."
a long form cannabis news show, and you're 50 minutes into it. But just to recap, the title story had to do with the Biden administration saying that they were going to pardon people and then not, and just saying you have to go back to prison now. It was the least uplifting story, so we moved on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is disheartening to hear that they even considering sending nonviolent offenders back in. Like why? But
yeah, what's the point of doing that? That sounds like a supreme waste of government funds.
You think? But yeah. And then how about your neck of the woods there with the new cannabis licensee in Illinois faced David versus Goliath fight against industry giants?
Is that what's next? Because I thought we had a stock one after. Oh, I see.
Oh, I skipped it. Shit.
Skip the stock one. We got a bumper for stocks. Welcome to the business aspect of this story. Canopy execs earn raises bonuses after cannabis giant loses $1.7 billion in Canadian dollars. And so executive for Canopy Growth received more than 4 million Canadian dollars or 3.2 million in cash bonuses after making solid progress in the year, according to a regulatory filing, as the company lost $1.7 billion Canadian, but don't worry, that's only like 70% that in American dollars. And laid off hundreds of workers. So the executive's compensation package consists of salary as well as bonuses awarded as part of the company's short and long-term incentive plans.
For fiscal 2021, which ended in March 31st, the board approved short-term incentive plan bonuses totaling $4 million for Canada's $4 million for 5 of the company's top executives. Wow. So that's 20 Canadian dollars. 20 million. The company's go ahead.
One day Canopy Growth will be gobbled up piecemeal as all of its components are bought by American manufacturers, and then eventually it'll just be completely broke. But whatever, these things take time, and so the company uses 4 performance measures related to corporate objectives to help guide short-term bonus payouts, where executives earn an annual cash bonus. So they look at free cash flow, net revenue, and adjusted EBITDA.
How you know what it is? They voted themselves those bonuses before everything just got way under. They're like, oh shit, how much did we lose? We better get how much we got left.
But according to the statement, they wanted a revenue of 455 million. But yes, that's why Seth Rogen got out. But came in at 414 million. However, their free cash flow was only negative 478 million, or half the shortfall the company anticipated. You see, isn't this the way to run a business? You raise a whole bunch of money from investors, and then you slowly lose it over time because you can't sell anything. You can't sell weed. You're so bad at business. But you've sold a lot of weed on paper and taken a lot of investors' money, and then you're just losing it. It's great.
I just want to be like, dear rich people, send me your freaking money. I'll freaking throw it away for you. Just send it to me.
Mickey, maybe you need to have an offering.
I will.
Let's get you a PPM, and then the people in your network can say like, well, I am launching Miggy Co, and Miggy Co is going to be one of the chief exporters of Miggy, especially the Miggy 420 brand on the planet. And so if you would like to invest, here's our prospectus.
Hey man, these people be throwing money at like it's a boat, just like in a hole in the boat, just keep throwing at it. But I probably could flip it better than half these men types are. But
you have to understand, sometimes the flip is just taken. And so that was the flip. They got the $3 million.
Damn.
Like, I bet you I am such a schmuck. I can make $3 million and lose $500 million of that guy's money. You're on.
I can't be mad, dude. And I now you put it that way, I have to consider these guys to like that's that your guys are, you know what? Whatever. Fuck rich people. Good on you for getting that money.
We should make sure we order some psychological tests and maybe some MRIs on these rich people just to see what's going on up there. Turning to other rich people news. New cannabis licensees in Illinois face David versus Goliath fight against industry giants, according to the Chicago Tribune.
As Illinois begins to award much delayed cannabis business licenses, the new business owners will face a long uphill climb. They'll be pitting mom and pop startups against giant companies that have had a 5-year head start to take control of the market. But how well have they been doing, though? I mean, you're a consumer. You're the person, you live out there. GTI's got a shitty name already. What about these other companies out there?
I'd say that the market demographics of Illinois cannabis is at least 2/3 black or gray market. So like illicit or gray. And so just using the shades for that purpose alone,
Right.
At least. And so like I just grow home grow. I mean, I just use home grow. And then I will buy weed sometimes as a novelty, basically, just to see how they're doing. And to be like, wow, that was expensive. Yeah.
But how's the quality though? I mean, it's expensive, but is it also decent?
No. This artisan Dutchberry that fell from just like a hole in the space-time continuum opened from Seattle and it just appeared in Illinois. That is way better. And it was $37 out the gate, guys. $37 total after all the taxes baked into that cake out the door. And it's better. Like the smell profile is better. It's not lying. Well, I think it's not lying to me about its THC content. It only says 23%. Wonderful flavor, decent effects.
So that is wow. Yeah, you guys definitely need a long catching up. So entry-level entrepreneurs will have, in many cases, one dispensary to compete with companies that control up to 10 stores across the state. Now, are they vertical owned? Is that how that works?
Many of the operators that are currently in Illinois are vertically owned and they're maxed out. And so like a Cresco is maxed out in Illinois with 10 dispensaries and several of the cultivation licenses. I think Cresco has like 221,000 times 2. So like 442,000 square foot of flowering canopy that it could make, which is thousands and tens of thousands of pounds. And so as Cresco's just sitting there spinning oil because like they can't sell all their flour, wow. And so like that's one of the reasons why when I have my growers that I'm saying maybe we should look at what Sitka had and like the Seattle Bubble Works are doing. What are these smaller producers doing? Well, they're offering something different. And the hash joint, those 9-pound hammer hash joints, fantastic. So you could buy one of those in Washington State for $13. It's a whole gram. And again, maybe if we don't show the prices and we just talk about the industry like this, we're going to wake up tomorrow and this one will be flagged and we'll be like, well, at least 2,000 people got to see it before it was buried. But the hash joints that we got over there were an amazing price point, higher quality than what you have here. And so if you had such a product to offer, and then not only that, everybody who won is social equity. So we need to get like a social equity made stamp. And then there's the locality because there's a lot of public-private partnerships between the community where these suckers were awarded and the brands that'll come thereafter. I mean, wouldn't it be great if your craft grow 2,000 to, depending on how many canopy space you have, let's say 5,000-6,000 pounds on the high end after you've been fully canopied. Maybe you can sell all 6,000 pounds in 100 miles, Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think you guys might be coming up, provided you can have good first grows and everything. You might be coming up to the age of the craft grow where the consumer will be like, all right, I'd rather spend whatever your average price is on the small guy versus the big creepy guy, Right. So the consumer's going to have to decide, again, the market, no matter what at the end, right?
Right. But, Roger will get in a lab with some of the winners and they'll create some great strains and we'll market them. And it's kind of how it works.
Yeah, that'll be fun, dude.
Yeah.
I'm excited for your adventure in the cannabis space out there.
Well, it's going to be really interesting as the Eastern Seaboard lights up. Something that's kind of slipping out of New Jersey future news. In New Jersey future news, it looks like they may be blowing a deadline in 3 weeks. And so we might get an idea and a glimpse of some rules on the 21st of August, but we also may get some winners in New Jersey medical cannabis licenses in August and then election in November. But it's slowly moving forward. You have to really see what the state wants.
And a little word of advice to all these starter uppers in all the states that are just starting, even Oklahoma, especially Oklahoma, because you're going to have people making a lot of money and they're doing shortcuts, whether it be the codes, building codes or location, but save that money and reinvest in your company to build to a higher standard, because eventually federal legalization comes, or your state does recreational legalization, the codes are going to come down hard, and they're going to come down every way. And because there is already a way for the most part to do things, but the other part, like the legislation, that's going to be the gray area.
Yeah, legislation and rulemaking, they take time. So tomorrow, the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act passes, and everybody goes like, well, we did it. We legalized weed. And then there's a big cloud of smoke. And then regulations start to happen. And that's when like NJ Weedman's going to make another $5 million, because it's be like, you realize we got 5 years before anybody knows what they're doing, right? Yep.
Seriously.
Yep.
And that's it. You just got people to take that stance, and I never did, because I've already been focused on my main goal, which it's been the metrology position I've worked. My skill set is, I know my skill set, and it's not going to be growing to pay the bills come tomorrow. I have to learn to grow. Just because I smoke a lot of weed doesn't mean I grow.
You know it. Just because you smoke it doesn't mean you grow it.
Yeah, man.
But the Illinois thing is going to be real fun. And so hopefully these Illinois operators can go out there and raise some money with some Main Street businesses, middle market businesses. It's a business and family ownership of that business between $2 and $50 million. Those people can finally get into the game, because now they've pointed at the social equity, all veterans so far that have been awarded licenses, and they know who they need to bring into the team.
Yeah. So with this, are there any pushbacks from the Goliaths? Is there any lawsuits pending?
No. The lawsuits are all from the startups, and they don't like the operators that are there. They don't really need the lawsuits. They have complete and absolute hegemony. 77% of legal weed in March in Illinois was produced by just 6 companies: Verano, Cresco, Green Thumb Industries, Ascend Holding, PharmaCann, and Revolution.
Damn.
Yep.
Well, even looking at the State Department of Agriculture awarded the permits, but it has kept secret who the winners are and what their scores are. Where officials said only that 2/3 of the owners are Black or Latino, all the majority veteran owned. One answer question is whether the winners are in-state investors or out-of-state MSOs. That's interesting, man.
Oh, there's a hodgepodge, I'm sure, but it looked like the vast majority of them were the 51% ownership social equity veterans that tended to be minorities. And so, Illinois said they were going to bring social equity, and I think they can say that they delivered it. And those were the top scoring applicants.
You guys dumped a lot of money. Craft applicants already have invested about 100 million and 1 million hours into the industry, according to a survey by the association. They plan to invest another 500 million in the next 8 months so they can build and get underway. Jeez Louise.
Jeez Louise, it is. And it's just kind of what happens, man. It's just kind of what happens when the industry is on. And I don't necessarily disagree with it. And one of these days I should get around to doing an expository paragraph about why a limited market over time may be a fairly decent way to introduce cannabis legalization into your state. And one of the reasons why maybe we are 3-4 years away from federal legalization, because the infrastructure hasn't been built up in states, even like New York, New Jersey, as their medical programs weren't all that great. They weren't as big as like Florida's. Florida's medical program is huge, for example.
Well, especially New York, because, New York's the gateway to like most of the, international, their international airport, as far as like international travelers go, tourism or whatever. So New York is the first impression that most of these people get. And, that's why America exported prohibition so well, because they came here with all the fear mongering, go, oh, well, they're doing it. We got to
LaGuardia was always like, because there was a lot of jazz music in New York. And so there's a lot of reefermen walking around and having a wonderful swinging time. But LaGuardia, Mayor LaGuardia in the 40s, he studied, that was some of the first studies. Like, oh, let's make it illegal and then we'll do the studies. And he's like, okay, let's study it. And so since the LaGuardia report and whatever frickin' year that was, hey, can we get a bumper from those moments in weed history while I'm trying to find the LaGuardia report? All right. right, I got it right here, and I'm going to be passing the data on over to Lauren and maybe even to the folks at home. Here is the synopsis of the 1944 findings of the LaGuardia Report. And so in 1944, the New York Academy of Medicine issued an extensively researched report declaring that, contrary to earlier research and popular belief, use of marijuana did not induce violence, insanity, or sex crime, or lead to addiction or other drug use. Marijuana is used extensively in the borough of Manhattan, but the problem is not as acute as it is reported to be in other sections of the United States.
That's so funny that there's that. And then I have a book that I've been reading. It's a little tiny pamphlet, but from 1950, it had to do with a psychological report of the cannabis consumer. Mm-hmm. And, this psychologist was on part of the NORML, created NORML, but his findings were the cannabis consumer learns about cannabis from another consumer, and that's how it's how a community develops, right? It's not like heroin where you're like, oh, I'm hooked. Like, this is something I need right away. It's like you have to learn how to be high. You have to learn what the experience is.
Well, you can feel the pangs of addiction. I mean, like anybody who's gotten a few cigarettes in them might then be like, hey, why do I want another one of those? They were terrible. And there you go. Now you've seen what an addiction is. With weed, I'm like, man, that was great. And then 3 days will go by. I'll be like, oh, I could go for that again. Yeah. That's not addiction. That's more along the lines of cheesecake. It's like, oh, I love that. Well, I haven't had that in a while. Oh my God, let's have some of that.
Yeah, no, I like that analogy.
Like cheesecake, you're getting coronaries and fat, and like if cheesecake was good for you.
Cannabis is like a fluffy blanket that you just want to have on you in a cold winter day, or a nice fresh water on a hot day.
There you go. It helps. It does, and it's been helping me. It's been paying for the bills for a bit until all this. If this doesn't work out, I guess I could always sell insurance.
If this doesn't work out, I'm fucked. Yep. Hey, we got one last story you want to go over?
Oh, international news. Let's hit it.
All right. Cannabis social clubs in Barcelona are about to get shut down, possibly for good, Mary Jane.
Oh, wow. No. Barcelona, home to nearly 200 cannabis clubs, make it one of the hottest global pot spots of the past half decade. But the clubs are facing a mass shutdown after the Supreme Court amended the legal loophole, one that allowed them to proliferate in the first place.
The associations, as they're commonly known, have faced a series of setbacks since they opened in 2017. But this is a whole new hurdle that might have caused them to shutter for good, or at least a foreseeable future. Wow, Barcelona, Spain has had a long history of cannabis. I wonder who's not getting paid.
I don't know, but back in 2017, the court overruled a law passed by the Catalan parliament because they speak their own language, or at least they allege they speak their own language in Barcelona. It's just, in my opinion, a dialect of Spanish, but, please leave all your hate mail in the comments. The facilities were protected under the Barcelona city bylaw, or a law established by a community to essentially govern itself that regulated their existence. That's why they were the asociaciones, or like the associations. And so they would create a club, and that club would have rules. And then everybody's always said, isn't there this loophole? That's the Barcelona loophole. And so that bylaw, however, was just overturned. So the judges declared that the city authorities were not competent to legislate on matters governed by the state. So your municipality, maybe they don't have what they call in America home rule. And so in that instance, the municipality can do something unless it does go in contradiction with the state. Maybe similar here, but there was 140 of them in Catalonia, but most of them were in Barcelona.
Despite the city's support of the Associaciones quasi-legal status, officials just informed the clubs that the new ruling officially outlaws sales, consumption, and promotion of the plant. Wow.
Yep.
That's kind of how we've been doing things here in Washington too. At least in the early days, we have a club. We're a private, you're part of a private party. You paid $5 to come in. You're with us. You voluntarily can. I didn't throw this marijuana in your mouth. But
Yep. But now they have to be inspected by the city to make sure they're not breaking the law. And the first storefronts are subject to city examiners, the ones with the most negative impacts that are geared toward tourists and massive sales. But they are private clubs. They have a membership fee. Wink, wink. of about 10 euro, which is about $12. And then these clubs have moved away from the side of business in favor of the dispensary model. So as opposed to like shopping and coming in, paying $10, and then, oh, you smoke some weed and leave. Now you come in, you pay $10, and then you get an eighth and leave.
That's crazy, dude. Recently, however, many clubs have moved. Oh yeah, you already did that. It's rumored that Eastern European and other mafias are in control of the cultivation sites supplying the clubs. If that's true, then some of the cannabis associations are essentially fronts for mafia drug money. I hate these terms like drug mafia. Like, you're still talking about citizens of your country. You're talking about people who, like, I mean, what is the mafia? Are they just cannabis consumers, or are they actually like doing everything? Like, are they, sex trafficking and other drugs as well, or is it just cannabis? Because sometimes it's just cannabis. Yeah,
but I think it's high time that organized crime not include cannabis. I don't care what country you're in; that is a legitimate industry, and it's not hurting nobody. And so, like, with organized crime, it's usually you're doing the stuff you shouldn't be doing, and you're doing it, but you're doing it anyway.
But if it was legal, they wouldn't be doing it, because they'd have to go through all the freaking regulations that we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This is why mafias or people who are willing to break the law, for lack of a better expression, that's why cannabis is with the guns and the violence and the money. It's why it pulls so much money in when it's prohibition. When you have it legal, and then I have to file an application to be a part of the goddamn industry, then I have to go get loans and then get a building plan, and then get a team. It's no fun no more. I just want to buy a QP and sell it.
Yeah, I just wanted to feel cool. I was trying to be, dangerous, an outlaw, a rebel. No, I'm sorry, sir. You need a pocket protector for this position, and there's going to be a lot of math. What?
I mean, it's different carrying one day, like now, if I carried a pound to New York versus 10 years from now when it's legal, and I probably have to fill out forms in each fucking state because I got.
Yeah, but I just got back from Wisconsin, and so in that instance, I would buy some beer in Wisconsin and then bring it into Illinois because the distributors are different, and so Wisconsin has a lot of little breweries that they don't ship outside of the state. It's a souvenir beer, but maybe in that instance, I'm coming back from California. I got a lot of souvenir weed, man. And so like, I hope I would be able to bring my suitcase full of delicious mixed light or outdoor sun-grown Mendo weed back home. But that's the dream. That's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Feeling it.
All right, that's going to do it for Cannabis Legalization News, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with all cannabis legalization news. We'll see you on Sunday.